Now, I talk a lot about conspiracies on this show, mainly because I think conspiracies fascinate me, and secondly because the number two political party in this country has been taken over by insane conspiracy theorists. Kind of a thing you don't want to ignore, right? And you have a lot of people that believe in crazy things, like, for example, the big lie about voter fraud, the deep state, the various anti-vax conspiracies, anti-mask conspiracies, Jewish space lasers, QAnon, and all this different stuff. But there is one conspiracy that the right wing no longer wants anything to do with. And that is the aliens. Really? The aliens. I guess it's because aliens are being too mainstreamed now. I mean, so recently we've had some disclosure, okay? And no, they're not coming out and saying outright, oh, aliens exist, whatever. But they're saying, we've seen turns out we've recorded some video that's questionable, UFO, we don't know what it is, could be craft that we've never seen. And so we're going to put this out. And yes, we are concerned for national security. No, okay, sure. Now, former President Barack Obama talked about this recently. You also have, of course, former Senator Harry Reid. He's a big UFO guy. I don't know if you know that. You also have, interestingly enough, John Podesta. John Podesta, a big Hillary Clinton guy. Podesta emails. This guy's also a big UFO guy. Not only that, but of course, Jimmy Carter also once claimed to see a UFO back in the 70s. And so you've got a lot of history with politicians, especially in the Democratic Party, in UFOs. And of course, you also have basically a lot of history in the United States where thousands of people, millions of people have admitted to seeing UFOs, things that they couldn't actually explain. Okay, so now about a third of the country, according to a Gallup poll from 2019, and this is not a question that's asked very often, but when it is, they find that roughly about a third of the country believes that some UFO sightings could be aliens. Okay, while 60% of them, of course, think that UFO sightings aren't necessarily aliens. They can be explained by human activity, natural phenomenon, stuff like that. Okay, now a third of the country, that's a pretty significant chunk of people who think, could be aliens. I don't know what that is, but it could be aliens. All right. Now, I want to give you the context here because that's kind of important. I think aliens, the conspiracy that, aliens might be visiting and, some of the UFOs might be alien vessels. All right. I think that's a pretty harmless conspiracy for the most part. And for me, that's because I kind of fall into that. I kind of believe a little bit of that. I've seen a UFO before. I don't know what it was. But that's, of course, what makes it a UFO. Did I think it was aliens? I have no clue. That's why I don't know. That's why I'm saying UFO was unidentified. But it was flying. I don't know what it was. UFO doesn't always mean aliens. So, but it could. But it could. All right, so that said, to get to the point, QAnoners, who, look, there's some in the right wing who are like, oh yeah, alien enthusiasts, government's hiding. Let me tell you, the government's hiding some information about the aliens. We actually have the life extension technology, and we have all this Area 51. We're gonna have to storm it. We're gonna have to find the alien bodies because we're working with the deep state. All that Alex Jones kind of stuff. Okay, but now Alex Jones and QAnoners are like, no, the new disclosures, the stuff that's coming out now, distraction. Now, what is it a distraction from? Well, get this. They say it's a distraction from voter fraud in the 2020 election. Are you kidding me? That's the conspiracy. Oh, distraction. It's funny. I would actually wager that it's more likely to have aliens that show up here than actually having widespread voter fraud. I'm just saying. I said it. Let me give you some numbers. Between 2000 and 2010, there were actually 649 million votes cast in general elections. Whereas you had 47,000 UFO sightings. 441 Americans were killed by lightning. They were struck by lightning. And yet, in all of those numbers, only in that 10-year period of time, there were only 13 credible cases of in-person voter fraud. I mean, I'm just saying the numbers. And yet, the QAnoners are saying, no, no, no. It's not the aliens. The aliens are distraction because voter fraud, Donald Trump's the real president. Jesus Christ. Not only that, but they're also talking about the coronavirus pandemic as well. In fact, here is Jordan Sather, a UFO and QAnon conspiracy theorist, saying this. There's no doubt that this mainstream UFO disclosure pushes away, is offering a convenient distraction for the deep state to turn our election away, or I'm sorry, our attention away from important issues like the scamdemic and the election fraud getting exposed. Getting exposed? Or are you talking about Arizona? Are you talking about Maricopa, the place that's an absolute mess? Okay. Sather also claims that interest in UFOs has become a way for left-wing SJWs to virtue signal. What? That none of that makes any sense. Okay, man. All right. Not only that, but here's InfoWars. They're doing the same thing. In an April video, InfoWars staffer Greg Reese said that the UFOs were being faked using technology from Nikola Tesla and the Nazis with the ultimate goal of faking an entire alien invasion to enslave humanity as part of a dire false flag. Also talking about the cabal and we got the Great Awakening, and it claims new UFO videos were meant to convince people wrongly that the aliens are real before then using energy weapons to vaporize much of humanity. Now, look, if you're going to vaporize much of humanity and you've got the weapons to do that, why do you need to invent aliens to do it? That doesn't make any fucking sense. It doesn't. But yet Reese said this. We know the cabal has the will to do this, and it seems they have the means as well. Show me the goddamn lasers. All right, show me the energy weapons. I'd love to see this. Crazy pants. Total and complete, utter nonsense. I mean, come on. Look, I do believe that the universe is too big for us to be the only intelligent species, of course. And maybe the fact that they haven't contacted us is because we're barely intelligent monkey people who are mere seconds away from annihilating ourselves. Why bother, right? Too stupid to contact, right? Or, maybe they could follow a Star Trek-like prime directive where you don't mess with primitive civilizations. And guess what? We're pretty goddamn primitive. Just saying. Also, they might exist, but are unable to come here, or have never come here, or maybe have come here. I don't know. There's all sorts of ideas out there. Nobody really knows unless they park their asses on the White House lawn in front of everybody. But again, here's the thing. The idea that the UFO revelations, and really it's a couple of videos where people are saying, maybe. Yeah, it could be. Who knows? We just don't know what that is. Very interesting. The idea that is somehow being used as a distraction is just insane. And of course, the people that are adopting it, of course, is the people that are pushing the same kind of insane conspiracy theories. For example, you got white nationalists, pro-Trumpers. You got Newsmax hosts that are pushing this stuff. Okay? In fact, recently, Newsmax White House correspondent Emerald Robinson tweeted that the UFO footage was a diversion meant to draw attention away from, among other things, a Republican-led recount of election ballots in Maricopa County. In fact, here's what she said. They want you to talking about aliens because they don't want you talking about Maricopa. They want you talking about UFOs because they don't want you talking about stagflation, the collapse of the dollar, the crisis in the border, or Biden's mental health. Why don't we talk about your mental health? You seem to be a bit out there. And again, as far as the Maricopa recount is, it's an absolute disaster. It's a mess. They're out here looking for bamboo and ballots and haven't found anything. It's just ridiculous. I mean, if anything, you don't want to talk about that because it's an embarrassment to your entire party. Complete and utter embarrassment. Now, there are issues, of course, other than this. There are issues with kids at the, in cages at the border. But that's not what they mean. Of course not. It's all political. And not only that, but it's all a conspiracy as well. I mean, come on. It's a conspiracy inside of a conspiracy. It's like the inception of conspiracies. It makes no sense. I bet that if the government did come out tomorrow and say, oh, guess what? We found big evidence of big voter fraud. The same people would be like, no, deep state, distraction from something else. You know why? It's because they don't actually care about being right, the facts, okay? The thing about these people is they want to be special. They want to feel like they're special, okay? And while there's usually a kernel of truth inside most conspiracies, like, for example, Jeffrey Epstein, Epstein, I don't think he killed himself. I'm just saying, I don't have any proof, but I don't think he killed himself. And there's the guards that are getting in trouble. I mean, pretty sketchy stuff, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that there's a big, giant Democrat pedophile cabal out there that's eating children's faces. I mean, that's the conspiracy part, okay? Or, UFOs. Same thing. It doesn't necessarily mean there's aliens out there just because there are things that we can't explain. That doesn't mean there isn't either. Again, kernels of truth in a lot of things. But where these conspiracy theorists, what they do is they just take it and they run wild with it. Because, again, they want to feel special. Epstein had a lot of powerful friends, money, but he wasn't, again, part of some pedophile cabal. UFOs are real, but it doesn't mean aliens. Voter fraud happens, but it's usually done by Republicans in order to justify voter suppression laws. And so there's that. These things are easily used by grifters, scam artists, and unhinged lunatics for some purpose, usually, again, because they want to feel important, special, or the only ones that see the truth. Oh, everybody else is a sheep, but I'm a wolf among sheeps. I'm the lion. I am the walrus. Cuckoo. I mean, come on. It's just, you know what? It is really interesting, though, seeing the conspiracy crowd kind of fall in on itself. Using one to explain another. It's super incredible to watch. And again, it shows you that no matter how much evidence there is, or lack thereof, people will always gravitate towards these people will always gravitate towards the most unhinged, lunatic stuff. Because at the end of the day, feelings over facts. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.